It is clear that the WWE is under a new era of management by some of the things that happened, especially at SummerSlam, when you had some of the most outrageous stunts that happened, including Brock Lesnar lifting up the entire corner of the ring with a tractor in order to have one of the best visual effects at a WWE or wrestling event in the history of the company, to Logan Paul doing an absolutely picture-perfect frog splash off the top of the turnbuckle through the Miz, through a table on the outside, to the Street Profits and the Usos having another great match against one another, to Bianca BelAir and Becky Lynch stealing the show at SummerSlam, and then also having the impending returns of Bayley as well as the recently brought back Io Shirai and Dakota Kai to form a new faction going against Bianca BelAir and a newly face-turned Becky Lynch. As well as Liv Morgan holding her own against Ronda Rousey, and it's seeming like Ronda Rousey's turned heel after she just had an absolute outburst at the end of her match, to Pat McAfee once again showing out in the ring against Baron Corbin last night, to Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins going into an absolute brawl last night after they were supposed to have a match at SummerSlam, but Matt Riddle decided to come out, and then Seth Rollins came out later, and the two of them just started to go out in an all-out brawl, to Austin Theory teasing a cash-in last night, but it ended up not happening, to Drew McIntyre cutting a great promo on what could be on the horizon coming at Clash of the Castle on September 3rd. The WWE definitely looks like it's on the upswing, and one of the things I really want to point out on SummerSlam was the biggest returns with Bayley coming back, and then obviously bringing back a couple of the former WWE stars who were actually very, very high on Triple H's list, and I'm talking about Io Shirai and the recently brought back Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai was always one of Triple H's favorites when he first started up that NXT Black and Gold brand. Dakota Kai was always in high-profile matches, whether it was against Raquel Rodriguez, whether it was against Tegan Knox, Shayna Baszler, whoever it was. Dakota Kai was always known as one of the highest-profile wrestlers in the women's division for the WWE NXT. And then she was unfortunately released due to quote-unquote budget cuts by Vince McMahon because he had no idea what to do with her when it came to the main roster. Well, to everybody's great surprise and overall general excitement, Dakota Kai returned to the WWE last night at SummerSlam as part of this new stable, along with a returning Bayley and a surprisingly returned Io Shirai, as Io Shirai was also brought back to WWE. As she even said before, she would return to the WWE if she was going to get a main roster spot, and that is to be. And she's also coming under the name of IYO SKY now, as she's apparently been trademarked with a new wrestling name coming to the main roster, and merchandise has already been dropped to her, indicating that Io Shirai has inked a new contract with the WWE, as well as Dakota Kai. And what this did is it pretty much opened up the floodgates for possible other returns of former wrestlers that were released by the company earlier on, that they could also be making a return to the company. And there's already been flyers coming out for former stars that were released by the WWE in the past year and a half, that they are open to returning to the company under the leadership now of Triple H. As this morning, Killer Kross, aka Karrion Kross, put out a message after a fan played his music after the show that happened last night, and Killer Kross ended up retweeting the tweet of his former entrance music, indicating that he and his wife, Scarlett Bordeaux, are open to return to the WWE, as well as other former stars that were released, like a Tegan Knox, like a Johnny Gargano, like a Dexter Lumis. The door is open for a lot of former stars that were released by the WWE. Brandy Lauren is another one. Heath Slater. All these people that were released by the WWE before could be open to a return to the company after last night's shocking return of Io Shirai and Dakota Kai with Bayley in a new stable that's been formed, that Triple H is definitely looking like he wants to bring back some of his former stars that were released by the company and start up what was a little bit of a return to the black and gold brand. As Triple H even tweeted out on his official Twitter, "We're only getting started," indicating that there's more surprises to come, more returns to the WWE of former stars that were released, and possible other signings that we least expect to the WWE. Now, I hope that there's not too many people that get signed, because you don't want this company to overflow what they had previously, when there were just too many wrestlers on the roster, and it was just booked with a lot of chaotic stuff. So I wouldn't mind if some of the wrestlers coming back. If you can bring back Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux to the WWE, the presentation that they had in NXT, I'm all for it. If you could bring back a Tegan Nox with the type of presentation she had, albeit I hope she's going to be healthy, she's one of those types of wrestlers that could easily get over with the WWE with the presentation she had, especially when she debuted on the WWE roster before. If you could bring back a Johnny Gargano, which everybody knows how happy and excited they love Johnny Gargano coming back, I would be totally for it. If you could bring back a Dexter Lumis, who had one of the most unique characters in NXT, and you could bring him back on the main roster with the type of gimmick he had, I would totally be for that too. With Triple H in charge, and after the show that was put on last night, and the fact that Triple H has indicated he wants to get back to a little bit, not quite 100%, but a little bit for what he had at the Black and Gold brand from 2012 to 2019, WWE fans that were maybe not interested in the company before and went to companies like AEW, New Japan, and Impact before might be interested to come back to the WWE now that Triple H is in charge of the creative, now that he's brought back a couple of his former stars that were part of the company before, fan favorites because of the vision that Triple H has. They might be able to bring back some of those fans that were not interested in the WWE before, but now are willing to come back because of the returns of the company that some wrestlers have had, and because of what Triple H has said, and because the vision Triple H is going to have for the WWE going forward. So I'm really curious to see, and it's really exciting now, the direction that you're going to see for Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, as well as NXT, and what stars could potentially become returning to the company in the future. Can we see a Dexter Lumis coming back? Can we see a Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux on their way back? Can we see a Heath Ledger, a Brandi Lauren? Can we see a Johnny Gargano, a Tegan Nox? Any of these wrestlers that were released before, can we see them make their potential return to the company? I think anything and everything is open on the table, and we just got to see what Triple H has in mind going into the future. But I definitely think some of your favorites that were released before have a very good opportunity to come back. And already some of them have vouched that they are very open to coming back. And I think Triple H will have his opportunity to bring some of these superstars back to the WWE in the coming future. So that's just my little overview on some of the things that happened at SummerSlam. I think it was an overall great pay-per-view. Some spots were a little bit iffy, but I think overall it just gives you an indication on the type of presence that we're going to have with Triple H in charge, that the future does look a lot more bright. And especially with the returns of Bayley, and especially with Dakota Kai and Io Shirai returning to the company, it opens the door for other former superstars that were released to possibly return to the WWE under the leadership of Triple H. So if you like the video, please hit the like button below. Subscribe if you haven't already to NYGJeffyT3285 for more breaking news updates and chatter surrounding the WWE, New York Giants, Brooklyn Nets, New York Mets, and food for thought. Share your comments below on what you thought of the SummerSlam pay-per-view overall, what you think about the returns of Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Shirai to the company, and what WWE superstars that were released before from the WWE that you would like to see return to the WWE, and who you think has a really good shot to return to the WWE now that Triple H is in charge of the company. And turn on the bell for notifications on the next video or short that are going to drop for the WWE. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll have to see what WWE Raw, SmackDown, and NXT have looking forward to the next shows. Take it easy, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and let's see what the WWE is on tap. But I'm definitely excited for the future of this company under the leadership of Triple H.